Alright, so we're gonna grab the head geometry and go to the Exchange Interactive Grooming and create interactive grooming splines. The settings can be anything, so just use the default settings and create. You don't worry about the lines, the primitives showing up here. We are actually not needing any of those hair previews. Let's turn that off. My focus here is actually sculpt the guides, so we don't really have to concern what the exchange looks like. So I'm going to go add a modifier, a guide modifier. Okay, and also go to the guide and go to attribute editor. I'm going to copy the tab, so that way I can go grab my hair and then use selected curves as guides. So use the default setting and turn off the preserve dynamic link and turn on delete curves, apply and close. Okay, so now we have all those guidelines, and then we're gonna go ahead and sculpt the guidelines. Grab the guide, add modifier, and add a sculpt modifier, and then we can, actually have to grab this guy. Sculpt modifier, and make sure that the sculpt not skill modifier, sculpt modifier. This modifier has to be underneath the transform from curve description, not this one. And that guide, sorry, that sculpt doesn't really need it. We don't really need that, so delete that. And then let's go ahead and use this brush called. We can go ahead and pick one of the brushes underneath this guy, the base, and choose the place brush. I'm holding down Control and click to delete some of the lines to refine the contour of the hairline. Okay, so delete some of the lines. We're not needing that much on the back. Okay. Alright, now we can go back to the sculpts and make sure that you turn on the edit of this. Whoops, not that sculpt, sorry. This sculpt, turn on the edit. Let's delete that sculpt, I don't really need that either. So you just need a sculpt underneath the guide, so you're sculpting the guide or grooming the guide. I'm gonna use the comb brush and I can start to comb the hair. Okay, as you can see, the hair can be easily combed. That's a lie, it's not easy to comb. My student says it is like impossible and takes forever to groom, and I think that's how we feel when we started doing like grooming. I guess that's just a common feel about it. It is hard. The tool is not that easy to use, in my opinion, or for any beginners. From any beginner's point of view, it is difficult in many ways. I think the primary way is that it just jitters when you drag them. Now that's a little stupid. So I don't know, if I'm designing the tool, I wouldn't make that happen. If I can, but I don't know. I'm not a designer of the tools, so who knows what kind of difficulty they're facing when they're designing or programming the tools. But if it's easier, maybe you can have some like bigger overall controls rather than, you know, having to sculpt every individual strands down. Even for guides, seems to be super difficult. But anyway, so I just use the comb brush to, you know, evenly distribute those guides. I'm gonna go ahead and use this guy called lens brush so that I can make the middle ones a little bit longer. It's probably too much. Let me go to the tool settings and lower down the strength so it's not doing that much when I click. I want to have some cool hair in the middle. Again, shift at right mouse button, go to comb to comb this middle part down. As you can see, when I sculpt this down, I'm affecting that too, and that's the big issue here. It's not that easy to control at all. So otherwise it's not a, but that's all the hair solutions are having now, like including ZBrush fiber mesh, including shaven haircut, including Exchange, including the Trick hair plugin. All those hair plugins are having this system that seems to be the only way to go. But you can get away with using haircuts sometimes and convert the card into curves. That's one of the workflows GMH2 is using, if you're wondering. I have a tutorial for that if you prefer to use geometry way to define the hair instead of grooming. Grooming is difficult. Anyway, shift that red mouse button, I'm gonna go for freeze, and then I'm gonna freeze those lines in the middle that I want them to be go this way, and holding down control and unfreeze these. Go to comb brush, and then I'm gonna check on invert frozen effect on the comb brush. So that's gonna allow me to only comb the freezed part. That way I can really specifically define like where do I want these guys to go. Stress is too strong, so yeah. Alright, so go to freeze and control unfreeze that. I'm gonna freeze maybe these guys. So at some point you have to go through this process of gradually tweaking every individual one on some level so that you can get a decent result. This takes forever, so but you can eventually get a really good result. I don't see any other alternatives yet, or very good tools yet to really not doing this. But anyway, let's see, freeze and do that and do code. Just want to be honest with you, tools are not very good. If you're the developer of the tools, I don't know. Maybe you can do better job in the future, but I don't know. I'm not a programmer, so I don't know. But maybe in the future things will be easier. Let me unfreeze this guy. Let's see what else do I want. And I want those hairs to go that way a little bit too, so I'm gonna go for freeze and freeze these guys. Okay, go to comb and bring them over. As you can see, if I don't freeze these guys and only do these guys, I'm gonna affect that guy, which is not what I want to affect. That's the problem. And also the jitters when you move them, doing some really ugly jittering on here. I mean, there must be a way to not having this, right? It's not that convenient to do. Now I'm gonna go freeze and unfreeze that, and unfreeze that. Let's see, I want this hairstyle to be a little bit more cooler. I'm gonna go to the lens and clip by holding down control. So clip some, lots of hairs actually off on this one side. To try to achieve those cool hairstyle that has longer hair on the top but clipping on the side. Now if yours doesn't clip all the way through, that's because in your settings you have this filter back faces on. Turn that off. That way you can clip across this entire screen depths. So here again, I want to reserve that. I want to clip the sides, so I'm gonna go to the freeze again and freeze these guys, and I want to reserve the shape and go back to the clip. Sorry, the lens. I'm gonna clip those guys off. Where's my brush? Am I using this? Okay. Control and clip these guys off. Anyway, so that's done. I'm gonna reverse my, go back to comb, it's already reversed. I want to tweak this part individually. So you guys could go a little bit lower, I guess. Problem here, like the comb brush problem is this, like I want to move something and the other parts are getting affected too much. I want to move smaller things, then it's also moving that. It's like how can I just, such an easy thing, I think, when you're doing real life hair combing becomes ridiculously hard in the process of digital sculpting. Anyway, so let's see what else can I do. Maybe I can make it standing up just a little bit more. And don't like those lines to be so generically I having parallel. So I'm gonna go to freeze again and unfreeze these guys, and then I'm gonna freeze just these 3. Go to comb again. But still, this freezing brush helps a lot. So you can just isolate a few strands and do variations of these guys. Maybe make the strands just a little bit stronger. I want more response. Make them a little bit longer. So go to this. Make sure that you invert the frozen effect so you can make them longer. I'll go back to the comb and comb them. Alright, so that feels good. The back is fine. Maybe oops, let me go to freeze. I'll freeze everything. And then use comb, and then check out the invert frozen effect. Oh, I also have the collide with mesh on. That is gonna allow the hair to stop when they hit the mesh. I want the hair to have some cool back effect. Hard to control again, so I'm gonna go to freeze. Maybe these guys I want to move. Maybe a little bit more. These guys, maybe not that one. Okay, go to comb again. Make sure that I check on the invert frozen effect and drag them back. Just want to fill in this stupid gap here, so I'm gonna drag these guys back a little bit on this side. And then go to freeze, and unfreeze these guys. Go to the comb again, comb these guys in. I have to unfreeze that. Comb. Even for these 3, I probably need to comb them separately to achieve the goal I wanted to go for. Because that one is jittering when I do the other ones. It's jittering. I have to fix that. Alright. But again, if you think about real life, maybe getting a haircut like this may take more than the 12 minutes I'm using now, so shouldn't complain that much. It just since it's gonna be easier or harder in different aspects when it comes to CG or real life, right? Anyway, so grooming is a difficult job, so you have to be patient. And I'm gonna stop here. You can keep going to do something more if you wanted to. But we can actually do a few more modifiers to make it look a little bit more better. We'll go to Sculpt and grab a new modifier called clump. That's gonna do some clumping to the hairs. As you can see now, when I go to the clumping and go to attribute editor and drag the clumping effect, you can see it's doing clumping when I drag them up. I'm trying to pull some hair together to form some smaller clumps. So you can drag the shape scale of the clumping to prevent the base from clumping, right? Just like that. And you can also say some variance, some preserve the length, things like that, and density, how big the clump is, and some random things. So you can even use texture to control this. Okay. Anyway. I think this is okay. So after clumping, which just gives us a little bit more variation, we can also give it a new modifier. This time it's gonna be the cut modifier. Cut modifier can easily get us to variations on the length, so we can go to the amount here. You can see it's cutting everything, right? It's probably not what we want. So here the amount, instead of using a fixed number, we're gonna load a texture here. And we're going to use the noise texture so that it's cutting using the noise. And you can go to the repetition here first, and we're gonna repeat this guy 6 times, so the noise will be more random. And back to the noise, I'm gonna go to this color balance here and drag the alpha offset to offset it, or gain to multiply that, right? So you can cut more or less based on the value. Okay, so I'm just cut a little bit more, right? So they're not very even. Okay, and that's gonna, I think that's too small. So I'm gonna go back to the sculpting and go to the lens and bring some of the lens back. Let's go to 2 settings and make sure that I'm not having the invert frozen effect. Bring the lens back. Don't want to have 0 lens hairs, and that's not going to be recognized by the hairworks. So again, this is going to take a long time. I'm 16 minutes in already, so I'm going to just have some lens back and be done with this process. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.